Hey, Tom here from the Run Testers. In this video, we are going to be doing our versus of the Saucony Triumph 23 and the Brooks Glycerin 22. Let's take a look. The Saucony Triumph 23 costs £170 or $170. It weighs 278 grams or 9.8 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 10mm. The Brooks Glycerin 22 costs £165 or $165. It weighs 297 grams or 10.5 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 10mm. The Triumph line has seen a number of changes over its lifetime, with a mixed response to certain iterations of the shoe. The Triumph 23 is a noticeable deviation from the bulky 22, focusing on delivering changes that make the shoe lighter and giving it a smoother heel-to-toe transition. The Power Run PB aims to be lighter and softer than the previous version, providing an improved experience, especially for longer training sessions. That focus is mirrored in a redesigned rubber outsole that works alongside that foam to ensure a more fluid, natural ride. The upper is a lightweight engineered mesh built for breathability and comfort, and includes a thick, padded, gusseted tongue. The Brooks Glycerin line has long been a go-to for runners looking for a good balance of comfort, cushioning and stability. The Glycerin 22 continues those aspects of the shoe but features a few updates to improve the ride. The biggest of those is an updated midsole made from the brand's new DNA tuned foam, the same used in the Brooks Glycerin Max, that combines larger foam cells in the heel for softer landings and smaller cells in the forefoot for increased energy at toe-off. The shoe also features a new engineered double jacket knit upper to improve the comfort and fit, as well as a thick layer of outsole rubber to improve grip and durability.
Fit then, and I ran in a UK 8.5, which is a US 9.5. In both these shoes, that would be my regular running shoe size in the Saucony and in the Brooks. Both of these I consider to be quite natural feeling on the foot. You slip them in, the foot feels kind of nicely secure but airy in both shoes. I really like the kind of clearance at the end of the length down on the side Saucony Triumph 23. This upper does sit a little bit above the toe, so there's a good wiggle room as well. No problems in terms of how the toe knuckles are held. They just feel nice and secure, but there is room so I can kind of flex and move my feet around. They don't feel restricted. I get a good midfoot hold here, good lockdown, ample padded tongues, and the heel collars hold me really nicely too. It's a fairly similar story when it comes to the Glycerin 22, although I think you can see this is a narrower shoe here. It's a bit more straight. There's a much less kind of taper around, or there's much less of a curve, I should say, around this kind of outside into the little toe. So everything here feels marginally more snug. I still get fairly generous clearance at the end there, just about enough. And I can wiggle my toes as well. The uppers flex really nicely. But yeah, there's a difference here, like basically into this section by the toe knuckles, where there's just a bit more space in the Triumph 23 for my sort of slightly wider feet. And I like that better. This does afford kind of a secure hold over here in the Glycerin 22. Midfoot lockdown is good. You can see it's quite narrow here, but just holds really well. It doesn't feel restrictive. Got similarly kind of plush padded tongues. Take the lace pinch off, back into the heel collars. You get ample padding here. Everything feels nicely secure for me as well. But overall, I would recommend going true to size in both of these shoes.
So the fit for me in these two shoes is very similar. They're shoes designed for pretty much the same thing: comfort, cushioning, daily, enjoyable miles. The fit in them is the Triumph 23 does have a lot of space in the forefoot, probably more space before my big toe than I'm normally experienced in size 8 shoes, which is the normal running shoe size I buy. It's got a nice wide fit on the forefoot all the way through to the midfoot, but it's also quite easy to get a nice lockdown fit. It's a shoe very much designed for comfort, and it allows you to splay your toes and everything quite nicely, and definitely one for people who maybe have average to slightly wider feet, because I think this will fit quite nicely without any issues. Also has lots of nice padding on it. Very, very comfortable shoe all around. Really enjoy the comfort side of running in the Triumph 23. The Brooks Glycerin 22, very similar, slightly less space before the toe, but still plenty. Nice bit of space in the forefoot and the midfoot as well. I'd say the Brooks Glycerin 22 is probably a little bit narrower than the Triumph 23, but the Triumph 23 is a wider shoe than I'd normally expect in my UK size 8. So no issues at all with either of these shoes, but the only difference really is that slight fit of the on the midfoot in both of the shoes. So this used to be the Versus that was like the showdown between the two best cushion dailies out there. And in recent years, it's not really been the case because mainly because the Triumph the Triumph range has developed and it's sort of lost a bit of the magic that we used to see when we compared the I think it was Glycerin 21 with the Triumph 21, because at the time they were two fantastic options, but these shoes have changed slightly over time. Well, actually the Brooks Glycerin 22 hasn't changed that much, and that's part of the problem because there's a lot of great cushion shoes out there now, so it's not really at the top of the pack when it comes to cushion dailies. So let's start with the Triumph 23. Triumph 23 is a shoe that is an improvement on the 22, which I didn't like very much. The 22 had a few updates over the 21, which just didn't work for me. I just didn't enjoy running in that shoe. Just felt a bit blocky. Didn't feel like it rolled forward nicely. I ran London Marathon in it, and I really regretted it because I just didn't enjoy the experience of running in that shoe. Whereas the 23, it's a bit more return to form. It's more comfortable. It's a little bit softer. It's got a nicer rolling action to it. And all in all, it's just a nicer shoe to run in, a lot more enjoyable and comfortable. But it lacks a bit of the versatility that I used to really like talking about with the Triumph 20 and 21. Those shoes were a couple of my favourite shoes for running faster in, to an extent, but really that sort of daily training where you wanted a cushion shoe, but you wanted a little bit of versatility in it as well. It wasn't by no means a speed shoe, but it was definitely a shoe that you could take on holiday and do lots of easy runs in, but also if you wanted to go do a slightly faster run, go and do a tempo effort or something like that. 23 isn't quite there yet. I think it's getting better, but I think it still sits in that world now where it's firmly a cushioned daily shoe and it doesn't do anything that exceptional. The Brooks Glycerin 22, now I mentioned there that the previous version and the version before it, one of the main players when it came to cushion daily shoes. It's still a great shoe. It's just, I think there's a lot of other great shoes out there now, and they tailor towards different things. So if you want a really soft cushion shoe, you might want to go for the Brooks Glycerin Max. That has it's a bit faster as well. Whereas the Glycerin 22, it's a solid all-round cushion daily shoe. But again, like the Triumph 23, it doesn't do anything exceptional. I think the main difference between these two shoes, and it's a minor difference, is the midsole, the feel of the midsole. So I think the Triumph 23 now, it just feels a little bit softer on the feet, a little bit more comfortable to me over those easier efforts. I think the Glycerin 22 it's pretty similar. I'd say it's just a tiny bit firmer than the Triumph 23, and as a result maybe feels a little bit more stable, but the difference is minor. But I do think the Glycerin 22, you could probably just edges it a little bit when it comes to versatility. I think there's a little bit more responsiveness in this midsole, but they are very similar in a lot of ways, and the things like the heel to toe transition I think is very similar in both of these as well. So they're both really solid daily cushion shoes that don't really excel in any area but just tick a lot of boxes. They're basically workhorses if you want to just churn out the miles, but yeah, not a lot in it for me. The outsole on the Brooks Glycerin 22 is fantastic. Really good thick outsole rubber on there to protect that midsole foam, and it's very grippy as well. So I've used this quite a lot on public footpaths and gravel paths and things like that. Triumph 23 is absolutely fine, not as good as the Brooks Glycerin 22, but no issues at all. Very grippy. So really similar to these shoes in a lot of ways, and it's quite hard to choose between the two.
So in testing, I've run 50k plus in the Brooks Glycerin 22. I've done around 25 miles in the Saucony Triumph 23. I've put these shoes through a good range of paces on the roads, done some light off-road river paths marginally as well. For me, there's now a lot of similarity between these shoes. You've got similarly plush uppers and fit security. There's quite similar stability from a cushioned ride. I think these shoes can cater for similar types of runs as well. They're almost as happy as each other at the slower end of things. But for me, the Glycerin 22 is probably the more versatile shoe. It's nicely balanced between cushion and energy. I like where Brooks is going with the new DNA tuned foam that you get in this shoe, and I think Brooks has made a good dependable daily trainer. The Triumph 23 is also a competent workhorse of a shoe. I really noticed the wide forefoot base that you get here offers up a lot of stability. There's a lot of reliability underfoot in this shoe as well, and a nice control to it. If I'm being critical, sometimes I feel like maybe it edges on the bulky side. It doesn't quite have that kind of instant feedback, the instant pickup that I really like.
I found I had to work a little bit harder sometimes to get through from sort of touching down to that toe off. But the key sensations you're going to get here are softness, cushion, reliability, along with pretty good stability. Now, I've also done a side-by-side mile where in one of each of these on each foot. That's what a side-by-side mile is anyway. But to tease out the differences, and here is what I found.
So I've just finished my side-by-side mile. Got the Triumph 23 on the left foot, got the Glycerin 22 on the right foot. These shoes to me feel same ballpark. They are very similar shoes in terms of the kind of ride profile, the way they feel on the foot, the kind of runs that I would use them for, the overall weight, the way that they kind of hold, the comfort, all of those things. It's a very, very close match indeed. For me, the main difference here is just that midsole that you've got in the Glycerin 22, which is just a bit softer and a bit bouncier. It kind of goes down, but it springs back quite quickly. So it's not sinky soft. It's soft with a bit of punch, and it comes back quite quickly. You get a firmer edge on the Triumph 23, which there's still a softness which takes the edge off the road, but you're not getting quite as much coming back. There's not as much energy. So the Glycerin 22 is definitely a livelier, punchier shoe, and I think would just give you a little bit more ease for the same kinds of run that you would use it for. So that's the main difference for me. There's just a bit more slipper-like comfort as well underfoot in the way that midsole moves. There's kind of like a uniform sort of feel underfoot as you roll through it. I guess the word I'm looking for is smoothness. The Glycerin 22 just feels a bit more smooth to me than the Triumph 23. Just a bit more firm. You've got to work a bit harder to get out of the Triumph 23. Feel a bit more the road coming up. It's not a shoe that I dislike, the 23. I quite like that as a more traditional kind of feel, but I think you're going to get a little bit more liveliness, fun, a bit more energy, a bit more help from the Glycerin 22.
Verdict then, and this one's quite a close call with just a few quid between them on price, few dollars, and in many ways quite similar capabilities. I'd sort of use these for the same kinds of runs, so it is quite tough to choose between them. I don't think there's much to choose on comfort. I marginally prefer the roomier fit of the Saucony Triumph 23, but I think for me actually the Glycerin 22 just has more life in the midsole. It delivers more cushioning, more energy without sacrificing the ground feel and connection. However, if you like things a little bit firmer and snappier, then the Triumph 23 will suit you better. But for me, that bit of extra popping up from the Brooks midsole gives them more upper pace potential. And for that touch of added range that you're going to get around the same price, I think they offer better value.
So my verdict between these two shoes is a tough one, because neither of these shoes now is a shoe that I really pick up instead of some of my other cushion shoes. The Brooks Glycerin Max, when it comes to the Brooks range, I think is a superior shoe for the sort of running that I would do in it. Easy runs, more versatile runs. I think is a little bit better at running faster, especially longer distance. Whereas the Glycerin 22 is just your solid, stable, sturdy, comfortable daily shoe, which you're just going to churn out loads of miles in. Same for the Triumph 23 as well. Nothing exceptional from either of these shoes really, but they're there when you need them. They're solid, they're accessible, and they're very comfortable with it. So if I was to choose between these two shoes, it would actually be quite tough, because I'd use these for exactly the same reasons, and I would be completely happy with using these for those easy runs, those longer sessions, those longer easy sessions. But I think I'm going to go for the Triumph 23 out of these two, just because I like the ride a little bit more in the Triumph 23 now, especially over the 22. Rolls a little bit nicer than what I experienced in the 22, but it's a really hard battle. So I think if it came down to it and you had the option of these two shoes, I'd go for the one that was the cheapest. If you get it in a sale significantly cheaper, definitely go for either of those options. I don't think you're going to get a big difference between these shoes, and they're both solid for what they do, but neither one is exceptional. That's it from us on this Versus. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click that little bell, and if you're getting the caption today, you can find it to our podcast, which comes out a couple of times each month. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.